everyone. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mark.
And this is Strange Stuff Podcast.
Yeah, unusual timing.
Yes, as usual, we've changed the time.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Oh, even better.
Oh, well, I don't know why.
What do you mean? You got hay fever, obviously.
No, I don't have hay fever. I never suffer from hay fever.
I think you do.
You can't just suddenly develop.
You sneezed twice in the middle of the summer.
Anything.
It does. Have you been sniffing something?
No, I can't afford anything.
Oh, dear. Oh, it's a beautiful day here. We got 24 degrees, 25 degrees, sun is shining.
Yeah, it's like pretty much like that here. I went to the shop this morning to get some milk, proper milk.
They had it in finally.
Finally, so I bought loads.
Well, how long does a normal carton of milk last? The expiry date? A week, is it?
The date on the ones I bought is 22nd.
All right. So it's 2 weeks, actually. Nearly. Well
Alexa,
done.
Stop.
Stop what?
She's just started ringing my alarm for me to get in here.
All right. Good. I'm glad you got someone to rely on.
Yeah, well, I can't rely on you or Richard.
What do you mean? I'm pretty good at updating you with messages and such like.
Yeah, which are usually, oh, can we change the time? Can we change the day? Can we change this? Because I'm so busy.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry that I have a life.
You do fuck all.
I pretend I have a life.
Fuck all.
Oh, dear. No, it's been it's actually been a good week so far. Oh, I went to see. You don't. Oh, well, no, you are interested in music. I went to see Nora Jones at Dalhalla.
Who?
Nora Jones.
Fucking hell, who's that?
You don't know? Oh, I thought she was a bit of a star.
Never heard.
Really? Oh, she's a jazz singer, pianist, songwriter.
Oh, so she's a bit elitist.
No, I wouldn't say she's a bit elitist.
You wouldn't hear her on Radio 1.
Oh, no, you definitely would. There's definitely songs that you know of Nora Jones. You just don't recognise the name. I mean, obviously, she's not that well known because Dalhalla was definitely not full.
I think Ellen and Andy were there sometime last week.
Oh, well, maybe it was. I mean, I'm sure she's popular with sort of our age group. Let me give you a name of a song that she's done and you might think of it.
Is it Springtime for Hitler?
No, who was that?
That was Mel Brooks.
Was it?
Yeah.
Nora Jones. American singer, songwriter and musician.
Talking of Americans, I did notice... the picture means nothing to me.
All right.
I did notice something that Trump did.
He's done so much. What did he do?
Well, he complimented the president of Liberia on his excellent English. Said, how come you learn such good English?
It's the official language, you
It's a
dumb
fucking
fuck.
English-speaking country, you numbnut.
Yeah, he is so uneducated in so many ways. You have to laugh.
I mean, if it wasn't for his dad giving him seed money of only $1 million.
$1 million back in 1960, exactly.
That fucker wouldn't even get a job in the corner shop.
Literally.
Ignorant fucking motherfucker.
Well, what is amazing is that the sole purpose, I'm sure, of Trump becoming president, wanting to become president again, obviously ego and all that sort of thing, but to protect him from all the legal prosecutions and to get rich. And my God, he's been successful as that. I mean, it's just absolutely staggering. What was it that the Was it the Qataris who put into his meme coin?
I don't know.
I think it was 200 million. They just paid him $200 million.
Yeah, for nothing.
And all his family, all of his, skeletoid relations, that fellow who's married to the daughter, whatever his name is, they're literally making not just tens of millions, but hundreds of millions off his presidency.
Yeah.
So it's working out absolutely fine for them.
Just another scam.
Yeah, it is. That's literally what it is. It's a scam. Anyway, whatever. Have there been any other embarrassing things? I don't think so. Not that I can think of.
Well, has there been any real news?
No. It's summertime. Journalists don't work during the summer holidays.
I mean, there's one bit of news that you should have been aware of. Christian Horner.
Oh, yes.
Sacked.
Oh, you're right. Yes. So, and there is already talk that he's going to go to Ferrari.
Why did they sack him? Is it because he married Ginger Spice? Because I can understand that.
I think it's he has lost some serious talent. He lost Newey last year. He's lost 2 senior people this year. The results aren't great. He's in a fight with the Verstappen clan. The car is not performing that well. And so, it's I think a culmination of things. It was probably, what's his face? Max Verstappen was talking about leaving the team. And maybe that was enough for that fellow Marco, who owns the team or whatever he is, to say, right, Christian, you're out of here.
Yeah, one of us has got to go.
20 years.
I mean,
20 years he'd been there.
He probably got a payout as well.
No, I don't think he did, actually.
Well, after 20 years, there must have been some kind of goodbye.
Who knows? I mean, I don't know how much they paid him, but it was obviously lots of millions every year.
Well, I mean, the drivers get like $1 million a race or something ridiculous.
Or more. And Ginger's worth a few bob, so between them, I don't think they're going to be short of any cash.
Yeah, but is she going to be happy with an unemployed husband?
Good point. Very good point. Do you think she's going to be able to look past the fact that he is simply unemployed? That doesn't do much for your status.
No, you're not going to get the same invites you got last year.
No, what does your husband do? Oh, he's unemployed at the moment.
He's nothing. Oh, dear God. Do you know what I watched yesterday? And
The Sound of Music.
I don't really know. It's even worse than that. It's the Robbie Williams biopic on Amazon Prime.
What? It's a documentary. Is it a biopic, a documentary?
No, it's a film.
So someone played Robbie Williams?
No, he voiced it himself.
All right.
It was an actor, but they CGI'd him up to be a monkey, basically. So his character was a monkey all the way through, but like a Planet of the Apes type monkey, standing up straight and walking and talking, but everybody else was a normal actor. He was a monkey. And it's about how he saw himself. It's kind of introspective. It was actually quite entertaining.
But throughout the whole movie, he's actually played by a CGI monkey.
More or less, yeah.
CSI. CGI? CGI monkey.
CSI is something you watch on the TV.
Or don't.
Or don't, yeah.
Do you know? I think I admitted at some stage.
Hang on. The point of this is at one point he did an interview with Parky.
Really?
Yeah, and Parky was saying, "Oh, it must be great. Like you had your downtime, and now you've come back, and like you've got a #1 album, and you're very successful. Your album's gone straight to #1. You're #1 on the top 20. You've got a great tour going on. And Robbie said, and I also been in 4 out of 5 of the Spice Girls.
Really?
That's why we were talking about Ginger.
How did he manage that?
It was Robbie Williams. He was the biggest thing in the planet for a
Was
while,
he?
wasn't he? Yeah.
You know, I've seen him
He
live.
bloody diddled that Andrea Core as well, lucky bastard.
Who's Andrea Core? Not the, of the Core's group.
Yes, they were in the same club in Dublin or something. And Robbie Williams sent a note over to her table saying, "What can I do to make you love me?" And she sent one back saying, "Entertain me." Cringe as hell, but it worked.
Oh, you'll have to remember that next time you're in a nightclub, Andy. See if it works for you.
Yeah, but I don't have a song called Let Me Entertain You.
Entertain you. No, that's true.
I do have a song called One Hung Low, but that's not for here.
Is that describing your old girlfriend, or is that describing you?
Oh, I found out some bad news as well.
Oh dear.
One of my ex-girlfriends died. She was
Oh no.
She was 38 or something.
What?
Thai girl.
You mean in Sweden?
No, in England.
Oh God. How did she manage to die at 38?
Testicular cancer.
You are so terrible. I knew that was leading up to something. Testicular cancer. There was a similar joke, and you know how shit I am at telling jokes. It was 2 Irish guys, and they're celebrating something, and it's just impossible for me to tell jokes, but you might be able to tell it in a funny way at some stage in the future. And he's relating his best mate running out into the corridor shouting, "Oh, it's a boy, it's a boy." And the fella says, "Well, that's the last time we're going to Thailand." Oh dear. Unfortunately, nothing beats the original on that matter. The original Phil joke.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think the Ladyboys, well, it's a ridiculous question, how the hell do you know, but do you think they get offended when people make jokes about it?
No, not at all.
I mean, I can't, you know.
They do good business. And a lot of the people who make jokes about it are secretly doing it. They're very, very popular, Ladyboys.
Mm.
A
Have
lot
you ever
of
been
men,
to Thailand?
No.
No.
A lot of men harbour this fantasy of Ladyboy.
What?
I've heard, if you go onto some porn sites, they're very popular videos.
I've never seen one, luckily.
Been in
I've never been to Thailand.
No, I've never been. I mean, it never occurred to me. I was busy in Europe. I was doing Greece and...
No, that's not true. Hang on a second. You got pretty close to Thailand. Where did you go? You went to Indonesia.
I went to Manila. That's not really near Thailand, is it? Oh, it's fairly close, actually, yeah.
Sorry, Manila is a city in Indonesia, isn't it?
In the Philippines.
Oh, it's in the Philippines. Oh, well, that's just above Indonesia. I can't... I'm so useless. Ah, yes. No, there is the South China Sea in between Thailand and the Philippines, and it's also Vietnam and Indochina.
I would like to go to Vietnam.
My sister went there. She said it's a very nice place.
Yeah,
Interesting place.
I've heard it's quite a place.
Go up the Mekong River.
Yeah, further than the poor Americans.
I can't see Manila in the... Oh, yes, I can. So it's North Philippines. Did you actually get to see any of it?
Yeah.
You weren't just confined to the bedroom for 2 weeks.
No. I was out and about all the time.
And was it fun?
Yeah, it's a nice place. I mean, there's armed guards everywhere, even on the door at Kentucky Fried Chicken. There's an
No.
armed guard, yeah.
Really?
It's quite it's a dangerous city. It's not a...
Well, what are they going to nick from Kentucky Fried Chicken? A bucket of 18 chicken wings?
They're not... I mean, the thing is, I don't know. I mean, it's not a safe place for tourists. It's not a safe place to live. It's just...
It's not a safe place even for tourists.
No, certainly not for tourists. That's why there's armed guards everywhere.
Aha, so they're actually just protecting the tourists from getting robbed inside KFC.
And probably murdered. I don't know.
Did you experience any trouble? Other than with the girl?
Yes, I couldn't get my hands on any Viagra. No, I didn't have any trouble. I did meet a lady boy in the apartment.
In the Philippines?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, where I was living in Manila was basically the red light district. It was Soho. And in this apartment block must have been, I don't know, fucking 40 stories high. And I was on floor 27 or something. And a couple of times when I was in the lift going up or down, there was a couple of lady boys going out to do their business, also living in the apartment block.
So how did you select this apartment in the middle of the red light district? That was on booking.com, was it? Red light district.
Yeah, more or less. I googled what's the seediest area in Manila.
You didn't.
I fucking did. And I made sure I was bang in the middle of it, because that's where. Why not? That's where I'm going to go. Why live outside where you want to hang out?
So whereas I would search the Knightsbridge Belgravia equivalent, what you're searching is the Dean Street.
Although the building opposite mine was a Trump Tower.
No.
Yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. Bloody hell.
And I knew I'd come to the right place when I was approaching the hotel. There was a theatre type place a couple of 100 metres up the road, which had a big sign outside saying, Wednesday, dwarf wrestling.
It didn't. No,
It did.
It didn't.
It fucking did. It did. They were having midget wrestling matches. I didn't go, unfortunately. I really wish I had.
We've spoken about this before, haven't we? Something to do with dwarfs.
Yes.
Throwing them or something.
Yeah. Dwarf tossing.
The things you end up doing when you travel. You know, I'm looking forward to going to a nice restaurant or something, tasting a bit of local food, and what you're into is dwarf wrestling. Do you think that happens in Stockholm or London?
Well, yeah, of course, in London. Everything happens in London.
I don't think so.
They used to do dwarf tossing at the Walkabout, the Australian bar in King's Cross that was open on Sundays all day before all day Sunday opening. And they used to have dwarf tossing there.
I think I've been to that place, actually, the Walkabout. Is it a big pub?
Yeah.
Yeah. God knows why I was in King's Cross.
Probably looking for business.
I don't think so.
Oh, King's Cross is one of the scummiest areas in London.
Where is it? Why? At the end of Marylebone Road is King's Cross. It's not that bad.
Oh, King's Cross is disgusting. You know, King's Cross was famous mostly for prostitution rather than trains.
My dad used to work there.
To get your £10 hookers.
Is that right?
That was the cheapest place in London, I think. We used to go there when I was at school. There was a pub that had strippers at lunchtime, and we used to go. We used to go to the pub in our school uniforms, just to watch the strippers at lunchtime. And they,
What, put 50p in their tankards?
we were better than that. They'd come round with the glass, and it was just after the pound coin had come out, really. So we used to wrap a 5p piece in the gold foil from a packet of Benson and Hedges and drop that in the glass. So the girls would think it was a pound coin. And it only cost us 5p. I'm really sorry, girls, if any of you are listening.
I was going to say, they're just trying to earn a crust, and what are you doing? Swindling them out of 95 pence.
Well, not really. We're paying, but it doesn't say it's a minimum.
Oh, God. We used to have that. I can't remember the name of the pub, but there was definitely a pub on the other side of... what's the greengrocer market? Spitalfields.
Spitalfields, yeah.
On the other side of Spitalfields, there used to be a pub that had strippers at lunchtime. It was pretty bad, actually. They used to have a bit of rolled up carpet that they used to throw on this beer and cigarette stained floor. So they'd have a stage that was about 3 feet square.
Yeah, they were pretty grim in this pub as well.
And you couldn't not put a pound in the pot. I mean, that would have been unthinkable.
Yeah, no thanks. I didn't like your puppies.
Exactly. Oh dear God! Can you imagine that actually happened within walking distance of where I used to work?
Well,
I mean, it just seems like a different world. I mean, it was. It's only 20. Well, actually, no, that was 30 years ago. But it was a different world in those days. I'm not saying better. It was certainly different.
yes. Anyway, back to the present.
Yes. So come on, what's exciting? I've put judge under my name because I think it's going to be something legal related.
It kind of is. There is laws involved.
Breaking of.
Breaking of. And the particular law in question is treason.
All right. So can we define what treason is? Is that putting the monarch's life in danger?
Treason is basically acting against the crown.
So you don't have to threaten their life. You could just be...
I mean, robbing a mail train could be classed as treason.
Because you're stealing the Queen's notes?
Because it's Her Majesty's Royal Mail.
Here's a good question for the current day. When do you think Trump is going to introduce a law of treason?
What?
As if he was a monarch.
Oh, it won't be long.
So anybody standing against him could be done for treason.
Well, I'm just waiting for him to announce his never-ending presidency dictatorship.
Yeah, because they must be getting very nervous about the midterms. I mean, everything's not looking very good for them, to put it like that. So I reckon there's going to be a change in the law that doesn't require midterms.
Well, I don't care about Trump. We're going to talk
treason.
About
Henry VIII.
We're going to talk about. Well, we're talking about a ship in particular.
What's that got to do with treason?
If I give you the name of the ship,
HMS Belfast.
HMAV, which is His Majesty's Armed Vessel Bounty.
Oh, I know Bounty, don't I? Captain Cook.
Captain Bligh.
Blythe. Who was Captain Cook?
He was the explorer.
And Captain Blythe?
He was the captain. Well, he wasn't actually the captain. The Bounty itself was built in 1784 at the Blade Shipyard in Hull, Yorkshire, when they actually used to produce stuff. And it was built as a collier named Bethia. It was renamed after being purchased by the Royal Navy. See if you can guess how much this brand new ship cost.
£500.
Oh, no, come on. It's a bit more than that.
£5,000.
It was 1,950 of your pounds, which is equivalent to about 315 grand today.
Oh,
That's that was pretty good price for a ship of that size. It was a three-masted cutter, 91 feet or 28 meters long, and 7.5 meters across, or 25 feet at its widest point.
Right.
And it was registered weighing in at 230 tons.
That's not much.
It's made of wood.
230 tons.
That's a lot of wood. Its armaments were 4 short 4-pounder guns, or cannons, carriage guns, and 10 half-pounder swivel guns. And supplemented, of course, by muskets for the crew. As it was rated by the Admiralty as a cutter, the smallest category of warship, its commander would be a lieutenant rather than a post captain, and he would be the only commissioned officer on board. A cutter also didn't warrant the usual detachment of Royal Marines that naval commanders could use to enforce their authority. So basically, there was only the captain in charge, or the lieutenant in charge of the whole ship. A Bounty had been acquired specifically to transport breadfruit plants from Tahiti, a Polynesian island in the South Pacific, to the British colonies in the West Indies. And the expedition was promoted by the Royal Society and organised by its president, Sir Joseph Banks, who shared the view of Caribbean plantation owners that breadfruit might grow well there and provide cheap food for the slaves.
Never heard of it. What's breadfruit?
I'm not entirely sure. I could find out.
No, I could find out.
Bounty was refitted under Banks' supervision at Deptford Dockyard on the Thames. The great cabin, normally the quarters of the ship's captain, was converted into a greenhouse for over 1,000 potted breadfruit plants, with glazed windows, skylights. Oh, so it's basically a kind of melon.
Sort of.
Glazed windows, skylights, and a lead-covered deck and drainage system to prevent the waste of fresh water. The space required for these arrangements in the small ship meant that the crew and officers would endure severe overcrowding for the duration of the long voyage. With Banks' agreement, command of the expedition was given to Lieutenant William Bligh, whose experiences included being with Captain James Cook on his third and final voyage, in which he had served as sailing master or chief navigator on the HMS Resolution. Bligh was born in Plymouth in 1754 into a family of naval and military tradition.
Hang on, 1754, and when was this expedition?
After that, because he was on...
I know it was after he was born. I want to know how old he was.
Well, he got the position around 1787.
All right, so he was only 30-something, 30, 33, yeah.
He was
all
a
right.
lieutenant, though. I mean...
Yeah.
That's not outstanding.
No, he wasn't admiral.
No, his third cousin was Admiral Sir Richard Rodney Bligh.
All right. Rodney.
Appointment to cook ship at the age of 21 had been a considerable honour, although Bligh believed that his contribution was not properly acknowledged in the expedition's official account.
Oh.
So he's a whingy little fucker. Oh, he didn't say what I did. I did that. I was really good. With the 1783 ending of the 8-year American War of Independence, in which the French Navy fought from 1778, the vast Royal Navy was reduced in size, and Bligh found himself ashore on half pay. After a period of idleness, Bligh took temporary employment in the mercantile service and in 1785 was captain of the Britannia, a vessel owned by his wife's uncle, favour job, Duncan Campbell. Bligh assumed the prestigious bounty appointment on the 16th of August 1787 at a considerable financial cost. His lieutenant's pay, of 4 shillings a day, £70 a year, contrasted with the £500 a year that he had earned as captain of Britannia.
So why would he make such a move?
Because it meant going back into service with the Royal Navy rather than in the Merchant Navy.
Yeah, but who on earth is going to be interested in doing that if you're taking an 85% pay cut?
Well, clearly his ambitions were more than financial. That's
a bit steep.
He wanted higher rank. He thought it was a foot in the door, I guess, to promotion. Because of the limited number of warrant officers allowed on the Bounty, Bligh was also required to act as the ship's purser. So he was doing 2 jobs for the same pittance of pay.
£70 a year as opposed to 400.
So to survey an important but underexplored passage, Bligh's sailing orders stated that he was to enter the Pacific via Cape Horn around South America, and then, after collecting the breadfruit plants, sail westward through the Endeavour Strait. He was then to cross the Indian and South Atlantic to the West Indies in the Caribbean, and Bounty would thus complete a circumnavigation of the Earth's southern hemisphere.
He did all that in a 230-ton ship.
Yes. Bounty's complement was 46 men, which comprised of 44 Royal Navy personnel, including Bligh, and 2 civilian botanists. Directly beneath Bligh were his warrant officers, appointed by the Navy Board. Sorry, I've got to check this because it could be relevant.
What, relevant to Captain Blythe? I don't think so.
No, I'm going out tonight, aren't I? With some ex-colleagues.
Yeah.
Oh, shh. Yeah. Directly beneath Bligh were his warrant officers, appointed by the Navy Board and headed by the sailing master, John Fryer. 2 midshipmen were added. Several honorary midshipmen, so-called young gentlemen, who were aspiring to be naval officers, and these signed the ship's roster as able seamen, but they were quartered with the midshipmen and treated on equal terms with them. Most of Bounty's crew was chosen by Bligh or recommended to him by influential patrons. The gunner, William Peckover, and the armourer, Joseph Coleman, had been with Cook and Bligh on the Resolution. Several others had sailed under Bligh more recently on Britannia. Among these was the 23-year-old Fletcher Christian, who came from a wealthy Cumberland family, descended from Manx gentry.
But he was only 23.
He was 23, yeah, which is quite old to become a sailor. I mean, usually you're seconded.
Yeah, but it didn't say it was his first time out, or was it his first time out?
No, he was on the Britannia with
right,
Bligh
exactly.
before.
Yeah.
So Christian had actually chosen a life at sea rather than the legal career envisaged by his family.
Yeah.
He had twice voyaged with Bligh to the West Indies, and the two had formed a kind of master-pupil relationship, through which Christian had become a skilled navigator. And Christian was willing to serve on the Bounty without pay as one of the young gentlemen. Bligh gave him one of the salaried master's mate's berths. Another of the young gentlemen recommended to Bligh was 15-year-old, that's more like it, 15-year-old Peter Hayward, also from a Manx family and a distant relation of Christians. Hayward had left school at 14, which was quite late, so he probably took his A-levels, to spend a year on the HMS Powerful, a harbour-bound training vessel at Plymouth. His recommendation to Bligh came from Richard Betham, a Hayward family friend who was Bligh's father-in-law. There's a lot of nepotism been going on around these places. The two botanists, or gardeners, were chosen by Banks. The chief botanist, David Nelson, was a veteran of Cook's third expedition who had been to Tahiti and actually learned some of the language. Nelson's assistant, William Brown, was a former midshipman who had seen naval action against the French. Banks also helped to secure the official midshipman's berth for two of his protégés, Thomas Hayward and John Hallett. So overall, Bounty's crew was relatively young, the majority being under 30. At the time of the departure, Bligh was 33. Among the older crew members were the 39-year-old Peckover, the gunner, who had sailed on all three of Cook's voyages, and Lawrence Libogue, a year older, and formerly sailmaker on the Britannia. The youngest aboard were Hallett and Hayward, both aged 15 when they left England. Living space on the ship was allocated on the basis of rank, with Bligh having yielded the great cabin to the plants, occupying private sleeping quarters with an adjacent dining area on the starboard side of the ship, and Fryer a small cabin on the opposite side. The surgeon, Thomas Huggan, charlatan, the other warrant officers, and Nelson the botanist had tiny cabins on the lower deck, while the masters, mates and midshipmen, together with the young gentlemen, berthed together in an area behind the captain's dining room, known as the cockpit. As junior or prospective officers, they were allowed use of the quarterdeck. The other ranks had their quarters in the forecastle, which was a windowless, unventilated area measuring 36 by 22 feet, or 11 by 6.7 metres, with a headroom of 5 feet 7 inches. So pretty cramped.
Pretty cramped. How many people do you think that were in that 60 square metre, 70 square metre area?
Out of the 47 or 46 on board, probably 30.
You know what 60 square... Your apartment is how big?
55.
So, can you imagine even fitting 40 people in your apartment, let alone sleeping?
If they were all female, I would suffer it.
Would they suffer you?
I like my apartment. I like my women like my apartment, without another man's cock in it.
God dear. All right, come on. When does the story start getting juicy?
There's a lot of background, so you have to live with it. So on the 15th of October, 1787, the Bounty left Deptford for Spithead in the English Channel to await final sailing orders.
Why?
Why? Because bureaucracy, even in those days. Fucking red tape.
All right.
Adverse weather delayed the arrival at Spithead until the 4th of November. Bligh was anxious to depart quickly and reach Cape Horn before the end of the short southern summer. But the Admiralty did not accord him high priority and delayed issuing the orders for a further 3 weeks.
All right.
So nothing's changed. When Bounty finally sailed on the 28th of November, the ship was trapped by contrary winds and unable to clear Spithead until the 23rd of December. So there's basically
nearly a month.
Yeah. With the prospect of a passage around Cape Horn now in serious doubt, Bligh received permission from the Admiralty to take, if necessary, an alternative route to Tahiti via the Cape of Good Hope. As the ship sailed into its seagoing routine, or settled into its seagoing routine, Bligh introduced Cook's strict discipline regarding sanitation and diet. According to the expedition's historian, Sam McKinney, Bligh enforced these rules with a fanatical zeal, continually fussing and fuming over the cleanliness of his ship and the food served to the crew. He replaced the Navy's traditional watch system of alternating 4-hour spells on and off duty with a 3-watch system, whereby each 4-hour duty was followed by 8 hours rest. For the crew's exercise and entertainment, he introduced regular music and dancing sessions. That would freak me out a little bit.
That would freak me out a little bit.
Bligh's dispatches to Campbell and Banks indicated his satisfaction. He'd had no occasion to administer punishments because, he wrote, both men and officers tractable and well disposed, and cheerfulness and content in the countenance of every one. The only adverse feature of the voyage to date, according to Bligh, was the conduct of the surgeon charlatan Huggan, who was revealed as an indolent, unhygienic drunkard. He sounds all right, actually.
Indolent.
From the start of the voyage, Bligh had established warm relations with Christian. I'm very sceptical about the relationship, especially with the dancing now, according him a status which implied that he was Bligh's second in command rather than Fryer. On the 2nd of March, Bligh formalised this position by assigning Christian to the rank of acting lieutenant.
Mm-hmm.
Fryer showed little outward sign of resentment at his junior's advancement, but his relations with Bligh were significantly worse from this point on. A week after the promotion, and on Fryer's insistence, Bligh ordered the flogging of seaman Matthew Quintal, who received 12 lashes for insolence and mutinous behaviour, thereby dashing Bligh's expressed hope of a voyage free from such punishments. On the 2nd of April, as Bounty approached Cape Horn, so they've been at sea 5-6 months now.
Cape Horn, that's at the bottom of Chile and Argentina.
Yes, South America. A strong gale and high seas began an unbroken period of stormy weather, which, Bligh wrote, exceeded what I had ever met with before, with severe squalls of hail and sleet. The winds drove the ship back. On the 3rd of April, it was further north than it had been a week earlier. Again and again, Bligh forced the ship forward to be repeatedly repelled. And on the 17th of April, he informed his exhausted crew that the sea had beaten them and that they would turn and head for the Cape of Good Hope, to the great joy of every person on board.
Sorry, where's the Cape of Good Hope?
I would say it was probably north of Cape of Good Horn, the Cape Horn.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, I'm surprised actually. I've never noticed this before. Do you realise that the Falkland Islands is not far from Cape Horn?
Yeah, it's in the South Atlantic, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's literally, a stone's throw in relative terms from the end of the continent.
Well, bear in mind that this is why Argentina lay claim to it.
Of course, no, I understood, but I didn't realise how close it was to the. So sorry, where did they go to? Cape of Good Hope.
Cape of Good Hope.
I'll check it out.
On the 24th of May, 1788, the Bounty anchored in False Bay, east of the Cape of Good Hope, where 5 weeks were spent in repairs and reprovisioning. Bligh's log emphasised how fit and well his crew were, by comparison with other vessels, and expressed hope that he would receive credit for this. At one stage during this sojourn, Bligh lent money to Christian, a gesture that the historian Greg Deering suggests might have sullied their relationship by becoming a source of anxiety and even resentment to the younger man.
Hang on a second. The Cape of Good Hope is at the bottom of the African continent.
Yeah, actually.
So they trekked all the way down the bloody into the South Atlantic Ocean to go down around Cape Horn, and they ended up then crossing the South Atlantic Ocean to go to Cape of Good Hope. Bloody hell, that's a bit of a detour, isn't it?
Well, that's why they wanted to use the Cape Horn. But obviously, in the conditions that they met, they couldn't. So the only other viable alternative was to go the long way round.
All right.
In her accounting of the voyage, Caroline Alexander describes the loan as a significant act of friendship, but one which Bligh ensured Christian did not forget. After leaving False Bay on the 1st of July, Bounty set out across the southern Indian Ocean on the long voyage to their next port of call, Adventure Bay in Van Diemen's Land.
And what's Van Diemen's Land? That's Australia.
Tasmania, New Zealand.
All right, Tasmania, yeah, okay. No, Tasmania's not part of New Zealand.
Is it not?
Tasmania's part of Australia.
Is it? I thought it was... Oh, maybe you're right. I could be wrong on that.
Yep.
They passed the remote Ile Saint-Paul, a small uninhabited island which Bligh knew from earlier navigators contained fresh water and a hot spring, but he didn't attempt a landing. The weather was cold and wintry, conditions akin to the vicinity of Cape Horn, and it was difficult to take navigational observations, but Bligh's skill was such that on the 19th of August, he sighted Mewstone Rock on the southwest corner of Van Diemen's Land, and 2 days later made anchorage in Adventure Bay.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it? How did they navigate through sextant and such like?
Yes, sextant. And the stars. The Bounty party spent their time at Adventure Bay in recuperation, fishing, replenishing of water casks, and felling timber. There were peaceful encounters with the native population. The first sign of overt discord between Bligh and his officers occurred when the captain exchanged angry words with the carpenter, William Purcell, over the latter's methods for cutting wood. Bligh ordered Purcell back to the ship, and when the carpenter stood his ground, Bligh withheld his rations, which immediately brought him to his senses, according to Bligh. Further clashes occurred on the final leg of the journey to Tahiti. On the 9th of October, Fryer refused to sign the ship's account books unless Bligh provided him with a certificate attesting to his complete competence throughout the voyage. But Bligh would not be coerced. He summoned the crew and read the Articles of War, at which Fryer backed down. There was also trouble with the surgeon, Huggan, whose careless bloodletting, he's a leech practitioner, obviously.
Excellent.
Whose careless bloodletting of able seaman James Valentine, while treating him for asthma, led to the seaman's death from a blood infection. To cover his error, Huggan reported to Bligh that Valentine had died from scurvy, which led to Bligh to apply his own medicinal and dietary antiscorbutic remedies to the entire ship's company. By now, Huggan was almost incapacitated with drink until Bligh confiscated his supply. Huggan briefly returned to duty before the Bounty's arrival in Tahiti. He examined all on board for signs of venereal disease. Oh.
What? How could they have got venereal disease? From the locals?
Or from each other. Bear in mind they've been 6 months at sea. The cabin boys are only 15.
They'd stocked up in Tasmania.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe they had some of that Australian fanny. G'day, mate. You can rip it up me shitter if you like.
I reckon that, of course, in those days, they hadn't even started shipping convicts out to Australia, had they?
No, 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 no. Anyway, he found none. No venereal diseases.
Good.
Bounty came to anchor in Matavai Bay in Tahiti on the 26th of October, concluding a journey of 27,086 nautical miles, which is basically a circumnavigation of the entire globe.
Globe, yeah, that's quite a distance, isn't it?
I have my co-pilot is stopping my mouse working.
What?
I've got someone lying all over my mouse.
For God's sake.
Oh, come on, let me operate my mouse, man. So Bligh's first action on arrival was to secure the cooperation of the local chieftains, as well as the king of Tahiti, Pomare. The paramount chief Taina remembered Bligh from Cook's voyage 15 years previously, and he greeted him quite warmly. Bligh presented the chiefs with gifts and informed them that their very own King George wished in return only breadfruit plants. They happily agreed with this simple request. Bligh assigned Christian to lead a shore party charged with establishing a compound in which the plants would be nurtured. Whether based ashore or on board, the men's duties during Bounty's 5-month stay in Tahiti were relatively light. Many led promiscuous lives among the native women.
Whoa.
Altogether, 18 officers and men, including Christian. Oh, stop. He's fucking... God damn. I've completely lost my space. He's rolled my fucking notes a million miles.
I'll tell you what, it was a hell of a journey looking at my map.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine it wasn't exactly plain sailing either.
I reckon it was 3 times the original distance. If they had gone round Cape Horn, I reckon it would have been 1/3 of the distance.
Yeah, but you're at the mercy of nature. So unfortunately, you cannot count on that kind of thing. So yeah, altogether, 18 officers and men, including Christian, received treatment for venereal infections, while others took regular partners. Christian formed a close relationship with a Polynesian woman named Mauatua, to whom he gave the name Isabella, which I would as well, to be honest, because fucking Matatua. I'm just calling you Isabella from now on.
That's a bit of a mouthful in itself.
Oh, yeah, but it was this is a little bit of a red flag. It was a name of a former sweetheart from Cumberland.
Oh, right.
So that's not really very gentlemanly.
Oh, no, it isn't, especially when he takes her home and introduces her to her friend and family.
Hey, look, Isabella, this is Isabella.
Exactly.
Bligh remained chaste himself, but he was tolerant of his men's activities and unsurprised that they should succumb to temptations when the allurements of dissipation are beyond anything that can be conceived. Nevertheless, he expected them to do their duty efficiently, and he was disappointed to find increasing instances of neglect and slackness on the part of his officers. Infuriated, he wrote, "Such neglectful and worthless petty officers, I believe, were never in a ship such as are in this one." Huggan, the alcoholic, shambolic charlatan, died on the 10th of December, and Bligh attributed this to the effects of intemperance and indolence. He never would be prevailed on to take half a dozen turns upon deck at a time through the whole course of the voyage. Wow, that is loud.
Is it? And what am I to do here? Message. Can I call you later? It's Ilva.
She knows, you know.
She doesn't.
She's got a fucking camera set up somewhere. She knows when you're podcasting and she just immediately calls just to fuck with you.
I'll put 25 minutes. 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
This is probably going to be a two-parter. I'll warn you now.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, have they filled up their hold with breadfruit?
Well, if you were listening...
What?
It's not in the hold anyway. It's in the main grand cabin that they turned into a greenhouse, and we're not there yet.
No, exactly, but... well, they were in Tahiti.
Yes. But they have
well, that was where they were going to pick up the fruit.
Yes, but no, but they propagate the plants from seed because they want to take seedlings with them.
Oh, of course. So they're not just harvesting it. You're right. They're growing the bloody things.
They're going to import it as a plant.
Yep.
So, for all his earlier favoured status, Christian did not escape Bligh's wrath. He was often humiliated by the captain, sometimes in front of the crew and the Tahitians, for real or imagined slackness. While severe punishments were handed out to men whose carelessness had led to the loss or theft of equipment. Floggings, which were rarely administered during the outward voyage, now became increasingly more common. On the 5th of January, 1789, 3 members of the crew, Charles Churchill, William Muspratt and John Millward, deserted, taking a small boat, arms and ammunition. Muspratt had recently been flogged for neglect. Among the belongings Churchill left on the ship was a list of names that Bligh interpreted as possible accomplices in a desertion plot, and the captain later asserted that the names included those of Christian and Hayward. Bligh was persuaded that his protégé was not planning to desert, and the matter was dropped. Churchill, Millward and Muspratt were found after 3 weeks and, on their return to the ship, were flogged. From February onwards, the pace of work increased. More than 1,000 breadfruit plants were potted and carried into the ship, where they filled the great cabin. The ship was overhauled for the long homeward voyage, in many cases by men who regretted the forthcoming departure and loss of their easy life with the Tahitians. Bligh was impatient to be away, but as Richard Huff observes in his account, he failed to anticipate how his company would react to the severity and austerity of life at sea after 5 dissolute, hedonistic months at Tahiti. The work was completed by the 1st of April 1789, and 4 days later, after an affectionate farewell from Tyner and his queen, the Bounty left the harbour. And that is where we will leave it for today.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but, time is a ticking.
So, do I assume that this time round they're going to try and go round Cape Horn?
Are you trying
because
to
they couldn't go through
the content of my next week's episode?
But I want to know. I'm looking at the map. I want to know these things now.
The map will still be there next week. It's been there for years.
But what happens if I'm not? I'll never get to know.
Well, it will be the least of your worries. Anyway, thanks for listening to the setup of this fabulous tale. I hope you enjoyed this story. It is fascinating stuff. I mean,
it is.
The work,
Mutiny on the Bounty.
The work that went into these voyages was incredible.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you had a map in front of you, you'd be absolutely gobsmacked. Bearing in mind they left Plymouth, went down to Cape Horn, gave up with that, Cape of Good Hope, Tasmania, Tahiti. I mean, bloody hellfire.
Yeah, I mean, it would take long enough in an aeroplane today.
You're right, it would, actually. Oh, all right, well done, Andy. I'm actually looking forward to next week.
Oh, well, I'll try and let you down. I don't want to change the dynamic of our podcast.
Yeah.
Right, thanks for listening, everyone. Come and join us next week for the result.
Conclusion.
For the result of what happens next.
Yeah.
In the meantime, have yourselves a strange week. If you go to Tahiti, mention my name and ask for breadfruit. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah.
See you next time. Bye.
Cheers for now.